Tomorrow, officials from North and South Korea will be meeting for the first time in 2 years to discuss the North's participation in the Winter Olympics, which is set to be held in South Korea. The talks, they represent a pretty big breakthrough here in this whole effort to shut down Jong Un's nuclear weapons program. But experts warn that, we've never been closer to war, actual war, than we are right now. So can the Olympics provide a platform to ease some of these tensions with Kim's regime? Joining me right now, Fox News senior strategic analyst, General Jong Un. General, Happy New Year. Good to see you.
Oh, good to see you, Trish. Happy New Year.
What do you think? I mean, is this an opportunity? Are we reading too much into this? Can we get him to disarm, in part because of these talks?
Well, likely not just because of the talks. But, yeah, is it an opportunity? Certainly. Certainly it is. I mean, they initiated this themselves. I think when the South Koreans get to sit around a table and they start talking to each other, it'll begin to unfold how sincere are they. I think that the motivation for these talks, certainly, as you noted, they've always used negotiations as a ploy to buy time to advance their technology. Well, I think maybe that's going on here. I think what's really happening, though, is they're finally starting to feel some pressure, Trish. I mean, gas stations are closing in North Korea. There's lines at others. There's significant malnutrition, starvation problems. The international community slowly but surely has been shutting down all trade with North Korea. There's likely still some backdoor activity going on. I'm sure that our CIA is watching pretty closely, and the United States government is pounding on those people who are doing that. But I think they're feeling some pressure. So, yeah, there is some opportunity here, but we don't want to, put too much on that.
Exaggerate it. Well, to your point, I mean, you run the risk of them using that to then buy them some time and continue their nuclear weapons program. Are they feeling enough economic pressure, really? I mean, he's not feeling it, right? He's not going to feel it because he's going to take care of himself and his weapons program before the people. I guess what you're talking about is the people need to actually collectively come together enough and be so dissatisfied that they don't want him there anymore?
Well, yeah, I think what could happen, and again, this is hopeful thinking, is that the people around him that are sharing power with him, they see the collapse of the country coming. And they know that is an economic disaster for them. And they could clearly, one, try to convince him to do something other than what he's doing, a path to destruction, or change him out themselves. That would really be the best of all worlds here. But, yes, I do think there's real pressure there. But the other thing we have to pay attention to is what Director Pompeo said on Fox yesterday. He reaffirmed once again that we're only months away from North Korea reaching their final technological objective of nuclearizing ICBMs capable of re-entry from outer space. And if that's the case, then we've got a showdown coming here pretty soon.
Are we the closest to war we've ever been with North Korea, General?
I think we absolutely are, since the armistice, yes. Now, listen, war is not imminent. If war is imminent, we would be seeing air, sea, and ground deployments taking place, something we could not hide. And secondly, we would likely be providing some warning to the hundreds of thousands of Americans who are in South Korea, to include the families of our soldiers that are there, giving them some advice about whether they should evacuate or not. So none of those things are taking place yet.
What do you think about this sort of public service announcement in terms of telling people what to expect in case of a nuclear war? Is that alarmist in your view?
Or no, just being prudent. It's the smart thing to do. You underscored it. Are we much closer to war than we've ever been before with North Korea? Yes, yes, we are. Because this administration is determined, unlike the two previous administrations, actually three, this administration is determined not to let North Korea threaten the American people with nuclear weapons. They're not going to let that happen.
What did you make of the president's tweets? My button's bigger than yours, that whole thing that caused some, I mean, is it strategic? Is it, you're dealing with a guy who is a caricature himself. Do you need to fire back with equally big words?
Listen,
and not so big ones.
I wouldn't have chosen the rich, colorful language that the president chooses at times, but that's who he is. What I really pay attention to, Trish, I don't get too much involved in the tweeting. I really pay a lot of attention to the policies that we're doing, and we have a very sound policy here, and certainly the president is the one who made that decision. And it's a determined policy, and it's what's best for the American people.
Wow.
And I think also for the security of the region and humanity as we move forward.
Well, you're doing the right thing. I mean, the policy is really where it's at, despite all the distractions out there. General Keane, it's great to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you again, Trish.